Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause all I ever have, redemption songs, redemption songs.
And hello everyone, welcome to episode 91 of the Weekly Yes And podcast. I'm your host, Travis Thomas, the creator of the YAP, as well as Live Yes And. You can find me on liveyesand.com, as well as social media at Live Yes And. And this is episode 91. We are talking rock steady with Drew Thompson, and we will get to that here shortly. That interview that I recently did that I'm really excited to share with all of you with Drew. But before we get to that, just another quick reminder that there still is time. We've got a few days left that you can sign up for the next Get Unstuck in 10 days, starting December 1st. You can find out more about that at liveyesand.com under events. And it is $25 for the 10-day program. You get 10 principles over 10 days through 10 different emails, which includes 10 videos, 10 activities, access to me on a one-to-one basis, as well as a private Facebook group of everybody going through the program, all for only $25. That's right. Sign up more. No, I'm sorry about that. That's the extent of my shameless plug for Get Unstuck in 10 days. But no, it's a great, fun adventure of just thinking of a different aspect of your life where you might be stuck creatively, financially, relationship-wise. And I guarantee that in those 10 days, we will address some things that help you sort of get unstuck and start thriving. So again, if you want to sign up for that, go to liveyesand.com, find the events tab, and it'll be there, Get Unstuck in 10 days. Awesome. And again, I'm actually recording this before Rack Friday, but knowing that I'm releasing this after Rack Friday, or right around Rack Friday. But if Rack Friday has not happened yet, which of course is Friday, November 24th, where we are transforming Black Friday into Rack Friday by committing 2017 random acts of kindness. It's my favorite day of the year. So get out there, do something, post something with the hashtag RackFriday17, and let's transform that. How cool would it be to be part of a movement that literally transformed this staple that we all know as Black Friday into something that is so inspiring and philanthropic as Rack Friday. So get out there, be a part of the movement, people. There you have it. All right, let's get into this interview that I recorded just over a week ago here in Jupiter. In the interview, Drew and I are outside near the beach at a picnic table. You might hear some background noise behind us, maybe some cars, motorcycles. At one point, a woman walks through with her dogs. Another woman is having a very large cell phone conversation. But for the most part, it was just Drew and I. And just a little bit of background is that Drew Thompson is the owner of Rocksteady Juice Joint. He has two locations, one in Jupiter, Florida, the other in North Palm Beach. And I've been a fan of Rocksteady ever since they opened a few years ago. And then I went in, and you just get an energy, you get a vibe when you go into certain places and when you meet certain people. And I just loved the local vibe, the holistic vibe, and there was just a nice sort of spiritual feel to these stores, as well as the people who worked in there. And then I read up a little bit on Drew and his story growing up in a baseball family, and Drew also was a professional baseball player and kind of saw his dream in life kind of take a detour, and then what he decided to do with it and how he yes-anded it into creating Rocksteady. I just knew that I eventually wanted to get him on the YAP, and believe it or not, we have been trying to set up this interview for months, if not longer, and but Drew is so diligent and committed to his business that it's been tough to do. But we finally got it done, and I am so excited to welcome to the Weekly Yes And podcast, direct from my hometown now of Jupiter, Florida, Drew Thompson. So please welcome to this week's Yes and podcast, Drew Thompson. Drew, how are we doing today?
Doing great, thank you. Glad to be here. Finally sitting down and making this happen.
All right, so Drew, we're down here in Jupiter, Florida. It is a beautiful, 77 degrees out, very little humidity today.
Sunny and 70, you can't beat it.
This is one of those paradise days for sure. And so, Drew, you are the owner of Rocksteady. It's a Rocksteady Juice Bar?
Rocksteady Juice Joint.
Okay, so tell the listeners exactly sort of what exactly the store is all about.
So basically Rocksteady, it started in 2015. It is a all organic or cold pressed juices, acai bowls, smoothies, salads, sandwiches, etc. North Palm, we're featuring coffee from local company Pump House to brothers that are doing a great thing. We got some teas, some specialty loose leaf teas, but really it's, obviously at this point there's a lot of competition out there, a lot of places popping up that, are doing similar things, but, when it comes to Rocksteady, I feel like, to be honest with you, nobody's really doing the same and going about things, the way we are with the same intentions and whatnot. It's really not one of those get-rich-quick schemes. We're not out here to kind of not necessarily take advantage of people, but overcharge for items or whatnot. One of the biggest things that I believe in is obviously sticking to the organics and keeping it at an affordable price, so that these customers and our regulars are able to come in on a regular basis and get these nutrients and whatnot that they need regularly, rather than pricing these items so steeply that it's not affordable on a normal budget, and then people have to pick and choose throughout the week when they can make it in. It's just one of them things that obviously nobody gets in business not to make money, but there's a whole lot more to it. And our mission, our kind of main goal is a lot more involved than just that.
Okay, awesome. And so we'll work backwards here a little bit. So what inspired you in the first place to open your own store?
So basically, I kind of always knew that I wanted to do my own thing, even when I was a kid. And if we back up even further, growing up, all I knew was baseball. My background is baseball. My dad's background is baseball. I grew up around the game. My first year that I was born was my dad's first year in the big leagues, actually. And for as long as I can remember, I grew up going to the ballpark with him and growing up with guys like Barry Bonds and, Willie Mays and Dusty Baker. And, I'll be the first to tell you I did have a very interesting and fortunate upbringing. But at the same time, I learned a lot from that, and I learned a lot of things that, I wanted to incorporate into my life, and a lot of things that I didn't, from certain ways that certain guys would kind of handle themselves and whatnot. And, I took a lot from that at a young age, and kind of put that towards my future and the rest of my life. I spent literally my whole life trying to follow in my father's footsteps and make the whole baseball deal work. Unfortunately, with a little rut of bad luck and back issues, that was not the case, and I was forced to kind of move on with my life. Obviously not everything goes as planned. So it was kind of back to the drawing board. What's next? I moved home. I didn't necessarily have the college background to fall on. I signed out of high school with Minnesota Twins. They were, a blessing to give me an opportunity at the age of 18, and believed in my ability and my character. And, they gave me some money and said, here you go, let's do it. And in my eyes, this was everything that I had ever, literally everything that I've ever worked for, was coming true, and it was becoming a reality. And that was 2005. In 2006 is when my back issues started, and then I spent, just about 6 years trying to get healthy, basically all day, every day. And that didn't happen, so like I said, it was kind of back to the drawing board. Came home. I was in a position, I was a little wise with my money. I had a little bit of money to throw towards a startup. I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do. I knew that I wanted, obviously, just like anybody else, do something that they're interested in, but I also wanted to help people. So when I came home, I started washing and detailing boats for my buddy Chris Black with CB Services. And that was all good, and I was enjoying myself. I was outside, beautiful weather on these nice boats, but even that at the end of the day was real tasking and grueling on my back. I then started working for my buddy Matt Miller, who has a local fish tank and aquarium business. I was trying to pick up some things from that because I thought, maybe if I was real interested in this, I can, start up my own thing one day and, help some people out with that. But that never really kind of took off and really sat with myself. And I was working on some other things, to be honest with you. But then kind of there was one that was an outlet for all the things that I was kind of interested in when I mentioned, helping people out and even kind of branching off and getting into different things. And I started up in 2013 or 14. It was a local business here, no longer with them. Got in business with the wrong people. We split, and that's kind of what led me to Rock Steady. Kind of dance around the question there, so I hope that kind of answers it a bit. But basically, to sum things up, I knew that I wanted, in theory, to be my own boss and do my own thing. And I knew, more than anything, that I wanted to do something that would impact, people in a positive way on a daily basis. And that kind of is what Rocksteady is today. So.
All right. So going back to, so you're drafted by the Minnesota Twins. I imagine at that point in your life that baseball was everything. You probably didn't see yourself doing anything else but baseball.
Oh, no. Honestly, even before that, like I said, even when I was a kid, I'm a big believer on positive visualization and things like that. And I mean, I'd be out there with them. I did not have a normal upbringing whatsoever. I'd be 10 years old on the field with big leaguers taking batting practice and taking ground balls. And, it was life. It was my livelihood. I saw it was what my dad was able to accomplish. Both my parents come from nothing. I saw, what hard work can do. So he was my everything. He was my role model. He was my guy. So 2005 comes along, and yeah, like you mentioned, it was everything to me. I thought this was it. I thought I was well on my way, and life happens, and you go from there. But yeah, baseball to me, I mean, even still, someone really close to me actually said a couple years back that I wouldn't be anything, without baseball. And for a little bit, that hurt, that really stuck. But the more I thought about it, I was damn proud of it, and he was exactly right. And that's really all that I have to attribute to, is baseball and what I learned from that process and what I was able to take from it, not only on, my side, but my dad's side and what he was able to accomplish. So, baseball to me is very, very heavy in what it's been able to provide for myself, my family. So yeah.
All right. And thank you for so vulnerably sharing that. And I was joking with Drew before we started the podcast that I don't think this is what you saw yourself envisioned yourself doing probably when you're growing up is doing the work that you're doing now. And I say that as a compliment because I see everything that you're doing, and to me it's so impressive and so inspiring. And I think it's the result of a lot of what I focus on with sort of my Yes and Live Yes and organization here is how do we respond to life, no pun intended, when life throws us a dirty curveball, right? And so I imagine, right, when you go back to all of a sudden you're drafted and you're dealing with what seems to be unending injuries, which is preventing you from living the thing that has always been your dream, and how some people that can completely destroy. So what was it during those years as you're dealing with the injuries? How are you dealing with that? What was your sense of motivation and inspiration that kind of carried you through those tough times?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, the one word that I could sum it up early on in the injury would be torture. Seeing, my teammates and my friends, not to knock what they've done whatsoever. I have always had those guys' backs. I've always, hoped for nothing but the best. But it was kind of crazy, all of a sudden, things coming to a halt for myself, and then everybody else, all of a sudden, AA, AAA, big leagues, very quickly, and they're living out their dream. And it's like, well, what happened? So at first, I was in a very dark place. I'll be the first to tell you, it definitely was a learning experience. It's not something that I was able to cope with overnight and was super excited about. For a few years, I was in, like I said, a very dark place. I wasn't able to, perform and play. I wasn't able to do what I've done just about every day of my whole life up to that point. Kind of lost a little bit of identity, but it opened up the doors to so much more. And so through, that darkness and whatnot, you just keep doing your thing, Life, my dad used to always tell me life's a marathon, not a sprint, and just keep that big picture in mind and just kind of keep grinding away.
Yeah. Was there a point at any point during that, Drew, where it was, when you look back on it now, when you look back on that experience, you're like, you know what? Having gone through that, or there was a moment that you look back and go, you know what? I wouldn't be where I was today had I not learned this lesson, or it was a change in thought. Is there anything you look back and see that how going through that then helped you now?
Yeah, two actually really big things. It's even tough to admit, but one of the things going through my head as how old was I at the time? 18-year-old. Before I had went and seen the team doctor, so before I was diagnosed, I was playing through the pain every day for about 3 months. Everything was going great. I was on track. I made the All-Star team that year. All the goals that I'd set for myself were, being accomplished. And in my eyes, as an 18-year-old kid, I didn't want to miss a little bit of time and set myself back. So rather than listening to my body, I just kind of played through the pain for a while. And that's kind of the biggest thing today is what I've realized is that without your health, what are you? What good are you? Not necessarily what good are you, but without your health, basically, that's everything. Obviously, fortunately for me, it was just a back issue in playing sports, but on a bigger level, with your health and all these diseases that are so common these days with cancers and these life-threatening diseases that are going around, your health really is everything. So that's one thing that I learned at an early age. And then also just kind of, like I said, positive visualization and the fact that thoughts become things. I was 18. I, like I said, had been, in a sense, complaining and dealing with this back injury for 3 months. Finally, one day I woke up and I couldn't get out of bed. My left leg was shot. So that's when I realized, okay, we got to do something. I went and saw the team doctor and in Minnesota. So at the time, as a kid, I didn't want to, be a baby and go back to the team and not have anything wrong. So going in, it was almost like I was hoping that something was there so that it would kind of justify what had been going on for the last, 3 months. But in reality, I kind of feel that I put that on myself, and, in a sense, I wished for the worst, and that's exactly what I was delivered. So I just, you take what you do from it, and you live and you learn. It wasn't my proudest, decision, but not everybody is, strong at all times, and you learn the hard way. But to me, yeah, I really believe that, positive visualization and thoughts do become things. Whatever you tell yourself on a daily basis and constantly is, there's a great chance that that's what's going to pan out in the future, whether it's the near future or long down the road. We as human beings, we have a lot of power, and it all starts with our minds.
Yeah, no, I love that idea. I love both of that, the positive visualization and the thoughts become things. I think that quote, the thoughts become things, has been one of my favorites over the years. And like you said, it's like, oh, shoot, if thoughts become things, man, what thoughts am I carrying around a lot? And shoot, maybe that's what I continue to manifest, if that's what I'm focusing, what you attract is what you get, right? Or what you think is what you attract. And so let's talk more about what you are doing nowadays with Rocksteady. And sitting beside us here is a copy of Tim Ferriss's book, Tools of Titans. And when you think about sort of the mission and the purpose for what you're doing with Rocksteady. Sort of, what are you sort of inspired by? Kind of you talk about visualization. What is sort of the vision you have for what you're wanting to create with Rocksteady?
So basically with Rocksteady, like I said, I more importantly, I wanted to do something that I could impact people on a regular basis. That in my eyes, you know, that's the customers, but also that's my staff and my employees and whatnot. You know, on the big scheme of things, I kind of, like I said, there's other people out there doing, you know, similar things and whatnot, but I really feel that the intention is different. I really feel that the drive is different. I really feel that the big picture, you know, the main goal is different. It's more than, you know, just selling these products and these smoothies and juices and whatnot, you know. I want my staff to realize there's a whole lot more to life than money. I want to kind of instill, you know, on my staff and, you know, the community and everything that, you know, it's just that, a community, and that we as individuals can do so much and accomplish so much, and we do have, you know, so much power if we not only, you know, sit down and really think things out and not just put ourselves first, but, you know, put the guy next to us first, and put, you know, your friends and your family and, you know, strangers, people you don't even know, you know, put them first. And you know, I apologize. I'm very passionate about kind of what's going on here. I'm very passionate about, you know, my past. I don't talk about it too often, so some emotions do come up. But yeah, as far as my staff goes, I mean, basically, I going back to my childhood, I realized at an early age that through my, you know, positive upbringing and you know, my dad, he was able to accomplish what he was, but what he instilled in us is that, you know, money's really nothing. And he showed us, you know, you would never guess that he was successful from the get-go, from the way he carries himself, from the way that he dresses, just kind of under the radar. And that's kind of, you know, as I mentioned, I've always wanted to follow his footsteps. So I kind of want my staff and employees to realize that, you know, a lot of people spend their whole lives chasing this money, you know, and trying to stack up all this money, and it's a lot of greed and it's a lot of ego, and, you know, a lot of people waste their whole lives chasing it. And then when they do get it, if they get it, they realize, you know, it's really nothing. So my whole thing with this, you know, at least with my staff, is to instill with them the same things that my dad did. And just make them realize, you know, that there's a whole lot more to life than money, and that if you are a selfless person and you put other people first, that in turn, you know, it just comes back full circle.
And again, man, I appreciate your passion. I know when you're sitting on that side of the mic, you're like, oh shoot, man, why can't I just keep it together? But no, I appreciate that, and I'm not the only one that gets choked up when we talk about something that we care about. There's a great quote out there that says your why should make you cry, right?
I like it.
Yep. And so when we're involved in something that literally brings out our full spirit and our full passion, our purpose, right? It's like, yeah, it's like we know that we're moving in the right direction. So for you on a day-to-day basis, Drew, what is it that you do? What habits, what routines do you have in your life that you have adapted, that you've made a necessity as a part of your life and your day that you know that ultimately sort of sets you up for success and makes sure that, you know, you're going into each day? You know, what are those things that inspire you?
I think the biggest thing that I've come to realize in the last few years is that time, you know, either could be our biggest enemy or our most valuable, I would say possession, but it's not a possession. You know, we don't own time. And on the flip side, I feel that time shouldn't own us. So one of the things that I have been doing as part of my routine is every day I get up, well, every work day I get up at 4:20, just before 4:30, kind of get the day going. I have my routine, you know, I take my apple cider vinegar shot and my chlorophyll. I take my my vitamins. I would like to say I meditate every morning, but I'd say probably on average 4 times a week, 5 times a week, which I'm all right with. And on my off days, I'm still up, around 6 o'clock and kind of getting the day going. Like I said, we're only given so many hours in a day, and I used to be one when I was in a dark place, sleep until 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, not even wanting to get up. And now it's just kind of come full circle, and I realize, that we can use that to our advantage. So then once the day kind of gets going, I'm stopping by, if say I'm working in North Palm, or I'm stopping by Jupiter, dropping off whatever they need over there for the day, and picking up whatever I need to transfer to North Palm and making my stops. On my days off, I'm running around doing things for the shop, trying to kind of work on the business rather than for the business, which has been kind of a battle of mine, because I do like putting in, the hours and whatnot throughout the day and showing face, and I don't like being one of those owners that, isn't around and whatnot. So it's kind of tough juggling, a little bit of everything and wearing a lot of hats, but, I wouldn't have it any other way. So I think that's kind of been a lot of help for me personally lately, is kind of getting up early, getting things going early, getting the meditation in, quiet in my mind. That's something that's been, kind of crazy for me, is my mind. Ever since I was a kid, it's always running, always on. So that's been nice, kind of not just always keeping it quiet, but knowing when to and how to, more so than anything. And it just kind of helps kind of throughout the rest of the day. It just sets the day on the right tone, and I wish I was a little better at working out in the morning, but everything in due time. But yeah, on a daily basis, it sounds pretty cliche, but it's one of those things, as a business owner and as an entrepreneur and a small startup, it literally is from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed. If I'm not in the shop doing something, I'm doing something for the shop. And like I said, I wouldn't have it any way. I'm very happy, with the way things are, and I know for a fact that, going about things this way will pay off in the long run. So just have that big picture in mind and just kind of grinding away at the moment.
Has this sort of natural sense of sort of soul and spirituality, have you always sort of felt that connection, or is that more of a new part of your life?
I've always been very open-minded to it, and that comes directly from my mom. My mom she's literally the best woman I know, one of the best people I know. She's a saint, but she's kind of been about the whole holistic lifestyle and whatnot ever since, I was, even before I could even realize what was going on, and so she kind of is what inspired me in a sense when it comes to that side of things. And then really just one of those things, I guess you could call it learning the hard way, and kind of living and learning, and there's no excuse for ignorance really, and when something's punching in the face over and over, you can either keep getting beat up, or you can kind of adjust and adapt and figure out other ways to go about things. And so I think spiritually I have definitely grown a whole lot. I think that I am very proud of that more so than anything. A lot of people are very closed-minded, and when it comes to spirituality and like you mentioned, your soul and whatnot and purpose and these things, some people go their whole lives with not even sitting down for 20 minutes and really thinking about, what is my purpose, or my spirit and my soul. What am I really into? How am I going to impact people? Some people spend their whole lives and not even really question that or take 2 seconds to consider it. So I think that's one thing that I'm really, really into and really open to. So besides my mom, I would also attribute a lot of that to locally Kula Yoga Shala off of Tony Penna and Scott over there. I have been fortunate enough, to kind of travel for baseball, even when I was hurt, rehabbing on these assignments, kind of all these towns throughout the country, and I literally was never able to find something that was on the same level as Kula when it comes to the yoga and the whole spirituality end of things, and just kind of very mind-opening. And so that's kind of the 3 things that I would attribute that to.
Perfect. And what is the origin of Rocksteady, of the name Rocksteady, and what that means to you?
Yeah, so people ask that quite a bit. Rocksteady actually does have a few meanings to me personally. First off, Rocksteady, is a precursor to reggae and a genre of music that is very old. And going into Rocksteady, before I had opened up, and in between, my past venture and this one here, I definitely wanted to do things differently, and I definitely saw it as an outlet to possibly branch off, and do more things. So I wanted to tie in, that reggae vibe of it. And that's kind of where Rocksteady and on the music end of thing comes from. But then also kind of what we just touched on, Rocksteady to me is just to really sum things up. It's just, staying consistent through the highs and lows of life, and the adversity and what's thrown at you, and just going about your business, and not really, being a roller coaster ride, and just steadily cruising and getting things done.
Awesome. And I know we've mentioned purpose sort of a lot in this interview. When you think about sort of your own individual sense of purpose, what's the language that comes to mind when you think about what your purpose is?
Yeah, so when it comes to purpose, like I said, the biggest thing for me is impacting others. And kind of at this point in my life, I really, without trying too hard to be, some kind of mentor or anything like that, I really would like to kind of, like I had mentioned about my staff and whatnot, but as many people as I can to help realize that, life is something else, and life isn't always as we kind of plan it in our heads. And with everything that is going on right now in the world, not just in our country, but in the world, and there's a lot of darkness out there right now, and I just feel like there at the same time is a whole lot of hope if we could all just kind of sit down, individually and get kind of, in a sense, our minds right, and realize that a lot of it is because it's driven by so much greed, and what's in it for me, and how can I make another buck, and when in reality, I just feel like if we could just slow down, realize what's really important, help others out, that in a sense, like I said, without even trying, that stuff comes around full circle. And really just, getting rid of the I, and realizing, that we is a whole lot greater than me, and that as a whole, as a team, even as individuals, if we want to, whatever we set our minds out to, or whatever we kind of put our daily efforts into, and that the positive visualization, whatever it is that you want to accomplish, I want people to realize, that I am, honest to God, living proof that you can accomplish anything that you want to. Like I said, I don't have any college background. I by no means am book smart. If you're willing to put in a little bit of hard work and have the right intentions in mind, I truly feel that you can accomplish anything and get anything accomplished. And I just hope that people can realize that, and I just hope to kind of not be a platform for that, but pass that on to others.
No, man, that's super inspiring and appreciated. I know, and it's again, as soon as you guys opened, it's being an entrepreneur myself, and a lot of times, I'm always curious about other businesses, and I picked up an energy and I picked up a vibe, and I was like, I need to know more about Drew and Rocksteady, and so no, it's just been great to finally get a chance to sit down with you and hear more about the business and hear more about your life. And is it true that whenever you're on a podcast, the host of that podcast gets free acai bowls for life? That's still true, right?
I haven't heard that one before. We can make that happen. Goes around, comes around, right?
All right, yeah, we'll have to negotiate that one on the side. But Drew, man, hey, so appreciative of your time. And for those who are listening, I'll include links to the website and to the locations in the podcast notes. But is social media and things like that, what's the best way for people to find Rocksteady, Drew?
So Rocksteady, our website is rocksteadyjuicejoint.com. Our Instagram is @rocksteady561, and our Facebook is just Rocksteady Juice Joint. I appreciate, everybody and anyone who is listening. I appreciate you, more than anything, having me here and giving me the opportunity to kind of share my story. I apologize for getting a little emotional.
No,
like I said,
man,
get a little passionate about things, but I really enjoyed it, and I'm glad to be here. And like I said, I appreciate it.
Well, thanks, Drew. Thanks for being on the YAP, and hope you guys all appreciated listening to that. Have a great day, everybody. There you have it, episode 91 of the Weekly Yes and podcast. Once again, I want to thank Drew for taking the time to do that. And as you can see in the interview, Drew is 100% fully authentic and purposeful and passionate in not only retelling his story, but the work that he's doing right now with Rocksteady, and super supportive of that. So I'm so grateful and appreciative for him taking the time, and hopefully you all appreciated that as well. And everyone down here in South Florida, if you get a chance, make sure you stop in Rocksteady, say hi to Drew, get an acai bowl, get a smoothie, get a fresh juice to go. It is definitely one of my favorite places to go because of the way I feel when I go there and just how delicious everything is. So there you have it, everybody. Episode 91. Make sure you check out 10 Days to Get Unstuck, or Get Unstuck in 10 Days, whichever you want to call it, coming up on December 1st. And remember, Rock Friday. Ooh, how about Rocksteady Friday? How about Rack Friday, Friday, November 24th? Let's transform Black Friday into Rack Friday. Have a wonderful yes and day, everyone. Love you, Juju.
Free our minds, have no fear for atomic energy, 'cause none of them can stop the time. How long shall they kill our prophets? Why?